This is our next tricky stitch video, and this is on wrap and turn, which we are using in the Weekender pattern, which is our Yarniverse knit along for July. What I did on when it gets to separate front and back is wrote out each of the rows that needed to be done. What you can see here is that it says shoulder shaping, and it says row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, repeat rows 3 and 4. So what you can see up here is I said 3, 4, and then I have to repeat 3 and 4 twice, so I wrote them down again. And then it talks about row 9 and row 10, and then we're repeating rows 9 and 10. So again, 9, 10, 9, 10, and then 13 and 14 are the last two rows here. When you go back and reread the instructions, because especially on a project like this, read them a couple times so you know exactly what's going to happen. So it wanted me to stop purl to the last 3 stitches on mine. So I went ahead and wrote 3 stitches. And then going back the other way, row 2 was 3 stitches. 3 and 4 were 6 stitches each, and they get repeated. So I went through the process of writing down all of the stitches and where I would need to stop. Then I went back for a third time and did the calculations. So 3 plus 6 is 9. And then, as you can see, I'm looking at the odd numbers because that's one shoulder, and then the even numbers are the other shoulder. So 6, and then 6 plus 6, or 9 plus 6 is 15. And then 15 plus 6 is 21 for me. And so I know exactly how many stitches from the end I need to stop. So I'm not having to worry about missing a wrap and turn. So I found this on the interweave. I just did a general search. So what's nice is it says the knit side facing and the purl side facing. So on purl side, you're purling this way, you're just going to slip a stitch and then wrap the yarn around, put it back on this needle and wrap it around to the front, and then you turn the work around and you're knitting. So it gets it wrapped around this one stitch. And what it looks like when you do that is this. You'll have this little gap and this little gap, and you can see that there's the yarn of the wrapped around and then the stitch below. And what that's going to do is allow you to pick up, see, as you purl back, you pick up that wrap stitch. This here, this comes around the back side, and then they're picking it up over, and then you purl 2 together. On the knit side, you're knitting along, you slip the stitch over, you wrap it around and move it back, and then when you put it all the way around, you end up purling that stitch because you turn the work around. And when you come back on a knit side, you can see here that it's wrapped around this way. And what you do is you actually put the needle in to both of those stitches this way, and you just knit them together. So you can pick those 2 stitches up and knit 2 together. So the purl one is the one where you actually pick it up and put it on the needle, and the knit stitch is a lot easier. That's why people prefer to do short rows with just knitting. So I have my handy cheat sheet here along with my checkoff, so I know, because the front and back are identical, we're going to do it that way. So I got to a certain point so I could show you what a wrap and turn looks like, and I'm at 31 stitches to the end. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 31. So I need to get to right here on my purl stitches. So I have a few more to do. So I'm just gonna purl over to that point. And again, keep double checking. 28, 30, 31. And when they say it needs to be 5 stitches from the previous one, what you see here is, do you see that there's a little gap right here? This stitch is the last one from the last set, 2, 4, 5 stitches. And so because I did all my addition, I don't have to worry about making sure that I count that one exactly, or you can. It's just whatever is easy for you. Count one more time. 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 31. So I need to do 4 more stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. For a purl side, it's in the front. We're going to slip the stitch over to the right needle, not purl it, just slip it. Wrap, move the stitch back, pull it forward, turn the work. And then we just start knitting, and you can see how it's now wrapped around this stitch. It's not actually knit, it's just wrapped. So now I'm just going to knit back the other direction. That is a wrap and turn. And what this allows you to do is not have a stair step of a bind off. If you have ever bound off and had to bind off 4 stitches and then 6 stitches and then 8 stitches, you end up with this very jagged point, because you'll have 1 stitch bound off here and then 1 stitch bound off here and 1 stitch bound off here. And as you can see, my work has an angle to it. And when I come back through and pick up those stitches, it gives a very gradual decline, because you are actually forcing the fabric to fill in that gap. You don't want to forget to check off your notes. This is about when I hit that marker is about when I usually remember to do it. So I need to knit to 5 stitches before the last marker, or 31 stitches from the end. This video does get a bit long because I've got to go back and forth across my sweater. So I have reached this point again, and I'm still doing that ridge for the weekender. So when I get to that marker, I know that this one I'm supposed to just purl. On the knit side, you're slipping it. Excuse my daughter. She is playing with the dog. You may hear Dinosaur Train in the background, or Clifford, or something of that sort. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and count. I'm pretty close. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 31. I need to do 2, 4, 5 more stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to do the knit side wrap and turn, which is this. So just as a little refresher. It's the same process, it's just how you end up knitting it for for the simple fact that the yarn is now in the back. So we're going to slip the stitch over, wrap, put the stitch back, wrap. So you are literally moving this yarn around this one stitch. Turn the work around and start purling. Okay, so I have a nice stair step down on both sides. I'm going to remember to check it off. Okay, 13 says purl to the stitch marker, or one stitch before the marker, and you're going to slip on with yarn in back so that you keep that ridge going, and you're going to slip your marker on and then purl to the end of the row, resolving the wrap stitches as you come to them by slipping the wrap stitch onto the right needle, using the left needle to lift the wrap onto the right needle, slipping the stitch and wrap back to the left needle and purling them together. So for purling, you're going to pick up that slip and then purl those two stitches together. So let's get over there and we'll look at it. I know you just wanted to watch me knit today and purl. You can always fast forward. Okay, let's see. So I'm at this point where I need to slip that stitch. So I'm going to move the yarn to the back, slip it, move my marker, move it back forward so that I can purl. And if you were ever confused, you could definitely count your stitches or put a little marker wherever you did the wrap and turn to give you a signal that you were going to need to take care of those stitches. But you do also have a little blank. So you can see that I have these blanks here. So I'm coming up on one right here. A couple more stitches. Okay. So now I'm going to look again at my chart, my little cheat sheet, and it says the hole is here, so I need to pick up the front side of that stitch. So I'm going to, you can see it here. I'm going to pick it up from this side and put it on the needle and then purl those two together. Show you that again. Okay, so here's the hole and here's the wrap stitch. So I'm picking up the back side of this wrap and putting it on the needle, and then I'm purling those two together. Okay, here's another one. Here is the back side of that, putting it on the needle and purling those two together. Here again, here's the divot. I'm picking up the back side of the wrap, putting it on the needle. I'm going to stop here and do just a video of the wraps on the purl side. So that shows you that this then takes and makes a very smooth transition. So we've closed up those holes, and the front side, this is the front side, but it looks very, very tidy across the front right there. So you just have these little hops, and it should work itself out when you block it.